Speaking up at work doesn't cost you your job. It costs you something harder to see. The moment you raise a concern, even a valid one, you stop being predictable. And organizations don't reward unpredictability, they manage it. What happens isn't punishment, it's adjustment. You've shown you're willing to name problems, which means you might do it again. That makes you a variable, and variables get handled differently than people who stay smooth. Not because you were wrong, because you made yourself visible in a way that requires tracking. The shift starts immediately, but you won't notice right away. You're still invited to meetings, still copied on emails, still doing your job, but you stop being included in certain conversations before they become official. Your name gets mentioned for a project and someone says, "Let's think about that." When you speak, people listen politely, then the discussion moves on faster than it used to. It doesn't feel like retaliation because no one says you did anything wrong. It just feels like distance, and distance is harder to challenge than an accusation. That distance doesn't fade, it accumulates. 6 months later, you're still the person who flagged something. A year later, when leadership is deciding who to sponsor, who to promote, who to bring into succession planning, your name carries a quiet asterisk, not a formal one, just an awareness that you've demonstrated a willingness to complicate things. And in environments that value equilibrium over correction, that's a permanent mark. The internal cost is worse. A few weeks after you speak up, doubt arrives. Not because anyone told you that you were wrong, but because nothing feels stable anymore. You start monitoring yourself, choosing words more carefully, holding back observations that would have felt natural to share before. You resent it, but you can't stop doing it. You're performing reliability now, and the performance never quite ends. The worst part is you didn't make a mistake. You told the truth. The system absorbed it the way systems do, and now you're left with a feeling you can't name. Not guilt, not regret, a kind of self-consciousness that wasn't there before. The knowledge that you've been reclassified, and that the reclassification will follow you for as long as you stay. Organizations don't operate on fairness. They operate on stability, minimal disruption, predictable outcomes. Speaking up introduces friction, even when it's necessary. The system doesn't punish you for being right. It adjusts for the risk that you might be right again. That adjustment is structural, not personal, which is why there's no one to argue with and nothing to appeal. There's a label for people who speak up. It's rarely written down, but it follows them into every room that matters. Difficult, not a culture fit, doesn't understand how things work. The label doesn't mean you're bad at your job. It means you've shown you might choose accuracy over cohesion. That's a risk, not because of what you said, but because of what it revealed about how you think. The label doesn't show up in reviews. It shows up in the rooms where promotions get decided, where succession plans get drafted, where your name either comes up or doesn't. It slows everything, and you won't know it's happening until you realize everyone who started when you did has moved faster. Silence and integrity aren't opposites, they're a trade. You can stay quiet and preserve your trajectory, or you can speak and lose something you didn't know you were spending. The cost isn't termination, it's revision. You become someone who has to be handled differently, someone whose reliability is now a question, someone who used up a kind of trust that doesn't regenerate. And even if you never raise another concern, the fact that you did it once rewrites how people understand you. Some people speak anyway. They see the trade and decide the cost is worth it. Others choose silence, not out of cowardice, but clarity. Both groups understand the same thing. Workplaces aren't designed to protect people who tell the truth. They're designed to protect the system from them. Once you speak up, you can't go back to not knowing. You've seen how the system responds, and now every silence you choose after that isn't ignorance, it's strategy. You're not protecting your principles anymore, you're protecting your position. And the difference between the two is something you'll feel every time you decide not to say what you're thinking.